Have you ever felt like you are just along for the ride in your own body? That your health, your personality, maybe even how long you'll live, are already locked in by the DNA you inherited? For decades, science has prioritized the idea of genetic determinism. It is the belief that we are passive passengers, totally at the mercy of our biology. But biologist Bruce Lipton challenges this worldview. In his work, The Biology of Belief, he argues that this rigid way of thinking is actually a misunderstanding of how cells function. Here is the secret. Your DNA does not control anything. It is a passive library of dormant blueprints. Those strands of genetic code literally cannot read themselves. And if our DNA is just a storage facility of biological books waiting around, it means we have been entirely wrong about who or what is actually pulling those books off the shelf. The scientific framework replacing that old genetic dogma is a field called epigenetics. Epigenetics is a study of how your behaviors and environment can cause physical changes that affect the way your genes work. Think of epigenetics as a master control panel. The DNA strand functions like a series of light switches, flipping specific genes on or off without changing the underlying sequence. What acts as the librarian flipping these switches? Your daily environment and direct experiences. Your biological path isn't permanently written in pen the day you are born. It is constantly being updated by how you interact with the world around you. But this brings up a mechanical problem. If your environment controls your genes, how do your microscopic cells actually hear what is happening outside your body? According to Lipton, they don't. Your cells do not react to objective reality. They react exclusively to your perception of reality. Your beliefs act as a biological filter. Notice in this diagram how a signal travels toward a cell, but first passes through a lens, your beliefs. They translate external events into chemical signals. The cell doesn't receive raw data. It gets the altered, subjective message your brain created. It is not the physical reality of a threat that changes your biology. It is your belief in that threat. Your subjective thoughts create a physiological response. To see how this plays out, we have to look at the two mutually exclusive modes your cells operate in. The first is growth mode. When your perceptive filter tells your brain that you are safe, supported, and loved, your cells dedicate all their energy to thriving. They multiply, repair, and flourish. But the moment your subjective filter perceives a threat, that stops. Your cells trigger protection mode, diverting cellular energy away from growth and throwing everything into defense. This exposes the major bug in our modern human operating system. Chronic stress keeps us locked in protection mode. Imagine a castle pulling up its drawbridge to survive an attack. That works for a short battle, but if you leave the drawbridge up, the castle can't receive the supplies it needs to maintain itself. By constantly perceiving danger daily, from traffic jams to work emails, we remain in absolute defense. This literally starves our own cells of the energy they require to heal and function properly. If our beliefs are running our biology, we have to ask a diagnostic question. Where exactly did we acquire these default belief programs in the first place? Think of it like a computer. Your inherited DNA is the hardware. In this stylized diagram, the physical traces on the microchip represent your DNA. It is the read-only memory of the body, the base blueprint. But hardware needs instructions. Epigenetics functions as the software, providing the active code telling that fixed hardware how to operate. The catch is a massive portion of this software is downloaded when we are very young. During early childhood, the brain operates in a hypnotic, sponge-like state. It absorbs environmental messages without any critical filter to reject bad code. That means the chronic illnesses and stress responses we battle as adults are often outdated software. It's code written by our childhood experiences, running quietly in the background of our lives. But this leads to the ultimate revelation of Lipton's work. Because our biological path is driven by software, and software can be updated, we are not trapped. You can make the shift from being a passive passenger of your genetics to an active participant in your own biological narrative. It requires practical tools to reprogram the subconscious mind. The first step is mindfulness, the practice of paying close attention to your present thoughts. This helps you identify those invisible background beliefs running the show. Once you spot the bad code, you have to overwrite it. That requires the consistent application of new inputs, using techniques like positive affirmations or clinical hypnosis. It is like slowly turning a massive ship. It takes deliberate, sustained effort. Repairing a chronic health condition or altering a stress response isn't about fighting your physical hardware. It requires finding and debugging the specific subconscious code that's currently mismanaging your cells. This cellular logic scales upward. When we look past the individual, we see these same patterns repeating across the human species. Lipton uses the concept of fractal evolution to describe how biological patterns naturally repeat at every scale of existence, from a single microscopic cell all the way up to human society. Lipton proposes that if a critical mass of people updates their internal software to favor cooperation over fear-based survival, it alters our collective social environment. Since our genes respond to that environment, we effectively steer our own biological development through our shared beliefs. The power to alter your physical reality does not require a sudden genetic mutation thousands of years from now. It is accessible to you, right now. The ability to author your biological destiny begins with a single conscious thought, leaving us with one ultimate question: what will you choose to believe?